I almost followed the bus after my child got on the bus and I was supposed to go right to work. I turned left and followed the bus just a little bit longer.
Let's get the first school picture with the date and the board.
Guilty.
And I had two boys who hated their pictures.
I think the parents today have a lot more to worry about when it comes to social media, digital images and things like that, because think about AI and what it's being used for.
My husband, who's a softie, couldn't take it anymore, and he promised our son a dog if he would stop crying for 30 days straight. And immediately the very next day he stopped crying for 30 days. And now we have Gus.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to our mini podcast, Back to School Prep. We're going to talk about all things preparation for back to school, which is coming up really, really soon. We'll be sharing current experiences and some of our past experiences with our children and how we prepared them to go back to school. But this program is made possible because of members like you, donations from people just like you. So if you're looking at the screen right now, you can see the website where you can make a gift of support to help fund programs like this at WQLN, and we thank you in advance for your support. So let's get straight to it. My name is Shannon. I work here at WQLN, and I'm joined by a few lovely ladies here. Tenaé, Kathy, and MaryBeth, all moms in different stages of motherhood. So I know my kids are going back to school next week. You guys have kids that have been out of school for a few years, but we've all had really similar experiences. So we were just talking off camera about how neither one of my children are looking forward to going back to school. So we're going to have to combat that a little bit. One of the ways I do that is start preparing the week before. So this week, what we'll be doing is going to bed early. Well, kind of early, at least earlier than what we've been doing, and getting more of a routine set and established. You know, your bedtime, your shower, your get up the next morning, get up and eat breakfast, get prepared for the day. So we're starting to practice that a little bit. Are there anything that you guys have done or any success stories you can share with me to help me?
Absolutely. You were talking about getting prepared a week in advance. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's also a great idea to get prepared with the bags and everything by the door, lunches, if you can do that stuff the night before. I remember that was a big help for our family.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be packing lunches in the morning on the first day of
No.
school with all that stress. I mean, I know we catch a bus. Did you guys, your kids, did they catch buses to school or did they walk to school? Or Kathy, did you take your son to school?
I did. I was one of those moms.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, to take him to school. So often what I found is he was, knocking on my bedroom door, "Mom, I do go to school today." So he was always ready to go. It was me that needed to be more prepared.
So he was preparing you.
He was preparing me. And I think sometimes we forget about what we have to do as parents. We focus on our child, which is important because it's all about the child in school. But for ourselves, we have to get our schedule and gear for that too. So
Definitely. Tenaé, have you ever missed a
Yeah,
bus?
well, we've missed many buses, many VOTEC buses, which made me have to take vacation from work to make up for those drives to Meadville or 45 minutes away from my house. But I agree with you, Kathy. It was living in a rural community. My kids had an hour bus drive to and from school.
Wow.
And we have a very long driveway, like a quarter of a mile long. So that means that I have to drive my children to the end of the driveway to wait for the bus to come, which would sometimes take 10 or 15 minutes. So getting up and adjusting my schedule for all of that extra work too was a lot, but then you're getting that, 10 to 15 minutes of like really nice time to be able to prep them before they get on the bus. So that was always something that I appreciated. But yeah, that was a lot for
I
the
do
first
love
day.
that time while I wait with my kids for the bus too. If it's bad weather, it's only about a block away, but I will put them in the car and go wait, and then I drive right to work. So we get a few minutes together before the school day. And what I like to try to do is to set their mental focus and their head straight, and just, like, you don't want to be rushing and stressed and anxiety and then send them off to school in that state. For me, I think to keep them, in a nice, calm and happy and good mood to get to school so that they're ready to learn and they're not carrying any baggage with them from thinking about how mad they are about something. You can't control that always, because my kids are 2 years apart and they fight with each other in the morning. I don't know if any of your kids did that, but mine sure do. And I try to avoid that stress and all those stressors if at all possible. So how do you guys feel about that? Is there any good ways for me to do that? Because I can struggle with that sometimes.
Well, I would say the thing that really popped in my mind as you were speaking about that is, and I don't know if this is really what would apply to what you're saying, but I think about the times where, especially when my son was middle school, high school, and maybe he didn't wash the dishes last night or load the dishwasher. So maybe I had a conversation like that in the morning on the way to school. I learned as a parent that wasn't a smart thing to do, because now you're getting them all upset and angry, and then they have to go into the building like that. So it was a learning lesson for me that, okay, Kathy, that little drive during the day or on the way to school is not about talking about something to correct their behavior. That's not the time. I agree with you that it's the time to really kind of set that mood, the tone, so that they can start off their day in a more positive manner. So that was a lesson I had to learn.
I also think that we're in this age of social media, and I am lucky that I hit the tail end of that. So I'm not like the Pinterest mom. I'm not on social media. I feel like so many people now have to, let's get the first school picture with the date and the board.
Guilty.
And I had 2 boys who hated their pictures being taken, so that was just like a pressure that I did not have on me.
Yeah.
I feel like, I feel like these moms now have so much added pressure from like society, almost like if you don't do that, you're not participating or something in the pop culture of what's expected to do the first day.
But also on social media, which, can be good for some reasons and bad for some reasons, but of any day of the year, that is my favorite day to log on to social media and see all the kids that I haven't seen maybe all summer or since last school year, or parents that don't post very much. It's my favorite day of the year. I tell people all the time, post your kids. I want to see the good stuff. I want to see their first day of school. I want to know, what are the kids wearing now? My kids are wearing Crocs with socks, which is horrible. That's what all the kids are wearing, I guess. So I love to see that. But you're right, there is an expectation, and I do post the pictures, and I don't know if it's more for other people or if it's for me, because I like to look back over the years and see what they looked like last year and what they look like this year. So, but that's a great point.
But go ahead.
Oh, that was just so fun for me to reminisce and see the pictures of the girls getting on the bus. I had I have 2 daughters, and they hated it. It was like dragging them and, just trying to get them to smile for the picture, but going to school was such a drag.
I kind of wanted to piggyback on something that Tenaé was talking about. I think the parents today have a lot more to worry about when it comes to social media, digital images and things like that, because think about AI and what it's being used for. So I would be really leery as a parent today posting a lot, of my child's image. It's unfortunate because, like you both said that, you use it in a way that you can go back and look on those memories. But then there's some nutcase out there that's wants to snag your child's image and do something horrible. So,
yeah, those are real concerns. Now, let's turn it a little bit and lighten it up. So I know that there are first-time parents out there that are sending their kids off to school for the very first time. And I don't know if you remember doing that, but I sure do. And, we had a little anxiety in our house. We had a kid crying, and that went on for a couple months. So, my husband, who's a softie, couldn't take it anymore, and he promised our son a dog if he would stop crying for 30 days straight. And immediately, the very next day, he stopped crying for 30 days. And now we have Gus.
Oh, wow.
What about 31 days? Did he start crying again
He
after
did
day-
not.
Oh, okay.
No, because he was so excited to get a dog.
Oh, wow.
So now we have this dog. Anyways, it's great. But what advice would you give to parents sending their kids off for the first time? Because you know how bittersweet that can be. You're so excited for them to go off to school, but you just want to keep them close forever. I mean, it's so hard. What would you say?
Yeah, that was tough for me. I am not an emotional person. I broke down that day. I was a stay-at-home mom. So sending my oldest son to school, I guess my advice would be to try and do what I did, which was keep it together with a smile on your face, yay! And then the minute you're by yourself in the hall, you can let it all fly out. But
Yeah.
you don't want them to think that there's something wrong, or I'm making mom sad, or I'm making mom anxious.
Definitely.
You know, they're just as anxious, if not more, than you.
It would be confusing. I
Yeah, it
think,
would
for
be
them.
very confusing. So, you know,
Yeah.
we had a really good taking him into kindergarten for the first time, and he was nervous and excited, and then
Yeah.
I let it all out as soon as the door shut.
That's great. I did the same, pretty close. I almost followed the bus after my child got on the bus, and I was supposed to go right to work. I turned left and followed the bus just a little bit longer, but that's really embarrassing. But anyway, I did do that. One of the things I think that's good advice is to visit the school before they start school, so they know what to expect. Have either of you had that experience where you got to see the school before your kids went?
Yeah, I remember kindergarten and having the parents show up and showed us the school, where they'd be eating, the different hallways they'd have to go throughout the day. It was a rural school also, and they took us outside, showed us all the way around the building and the campus, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that most schools are doing that now.
I know ours is, and as soon as my kids saw the playground, they were very excited. So that was a new playground for them, and they were ready to go. So they were happy going to school. Again, the crying didn't start till a little bit later before we got the dog, but it did start off pretty good because of the steps that we did to prepare. And some of the teachers were great too. They gave us these take-home packets. There was glitter that you sprinkle under your bed so you get a good night's sleep, and they did the cutest things. So I think getting to meet your teacher and not having that be an unknown to your child, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, helpful is when the teachers send home in advance that list, for you
Yep.
to create, go out and buy stuff, make it fun with your
Yeah.
kids.
They can pick out their notebook colors, their folder colors, things like that. Yeah, definitely. I love that idea. So is there anything that you've done to prepare yourselves or your kids for school in the past that maybe you would do differently now?
Wow.
I know it's a
That's
tough
good
question.
question. I'm such a planner. I don't think I would do anything different.
So you
I
would
think
keep the
each-
plans.
I think each home is different too, and navigating that is probably different for every household too, with personalities. But yeah, I'm a planner, so I would have, I have my list on top
Yeah.
of their lists, on top of the teacher's list.
Yep, I do too.
Well, I think there's a lot of grandmas and grandpas and other family involved in helping getting kids to school, and that was a great blessing for our family that we had people, because I had to go to work a little earlier than what the kids were always getting on the bus, so
Yeah,
it's nice to have that support system.
it sure is. I can't imagine without my mother-in-law and father-in-law helping us too. It's hard because work days don't start the same day as school days. They don't align very well, so.
One thing that comes to mind, Shannon, going back to your question, is I think, now that I think back on it, I think I would have sat down and had more conversations with my son about my first day of school, and to help him feel more at ease.
Yeah.
Say, you know what, I felt scared too. I was nervous, and, so that they can kind of relate a little bit. So that's one thing I would do different.
That's a great idea. I know my kids like to hear stories about what I experienced as a kid, or know about what did you do as a child, way back before color
Dirt.
TV. I mean, they have crazy expectations of what it was like in the 1980s, but yeah, they do. I think the personal stories would help a whole lot with children.
And the music was better.
Music was better. Do you remember the school supplies that you had as a kid? I had a Trapper Keeper.
Oh yeah, the Trapper Keeper, and that was huge.
Yeah.
Like the Trapper Keeper, like colors and the like image on the front,
The rainbow.
the Punky Brewster.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and the lunchbox. That was
Lunchbox.
like
Oh,
a big
yeah.
thing. He
Yes.
was gonna have the
With
lunchbox.
the thermos. I had a
that's-
Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox.
I had a New Kids on the Block lunchbox.
Nice. Nice. I love it.
I love this flashback.
So the big things now are none of that. I mean, it's so boring now. They have like freezer packs in their lunch, and you're putting.
The little thermoses. Do
Yeah.
you remember the
Oh, yeah,
I do remember
thermoses
the
in the
thermoses, yeah.
lunchbox? that
Yes.
yeah. And then it was always like lukewarm by the time you got
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah, now moms, they're writing little notes and putting artwork in the lunches and stuff. I don't have time for that.
Well,
No,
the one thing
no.
that my dad did every Friday is he showed up with McDonald's for me.
oh my
Wow.
goodness.
We were like royalty to the rest of our schoolmates because they
Wow.
thought,
That's
wow.
incredible.
Yeah, he did it every Friday.
That's nice.
I'll never forget that.
Would love that.
I remember covering my book. You had to either use like a paper
yeah.
or
Oh my
they gave you
gosh,
those,
yeah.
there were
Oh,
special
yeah.
ones like the stretchy book covers. And that was always like a big deal before you went to school. And then you go to the store to buy them and they were completely out of the
you
covers.
just use the bags
The
from
paper bag,
Yeah.
right?
But you know what? Now they don't even have books. It's
Yes, it's
everything.
crazy.
Oh.
iPads and Chromebooks.
Yeah.
So you're not covering anything except for putting a hard shell cover on your iPads.
Or are they putting stickers on their, like their drink containers
yeah.
or on their computers, their laptops or tablets?
They are on their water bottles. The iPads don't belong to us, so they can't really sticker them up, but everything else gets a sticker.
You know, if they
Everything.
covered it, then they could put stickers on it. A little too much.
They could.
Mary Beth is going to capitalize on this idea.
Are you selling stickers?
I am. I might look into
iPad
that.
covers for all the kids and different.
Well, and they could come get one at WQLN, or we could even mail it to them.
We have lots of
Oh, there we
stickers in
go.
this
Yeah.
building, always. Awesome. Well, thanks, ladies. It's
Thank
great
you for
talking to
having
you
me.
guys. Thanks for making me feel better about the first week of school and all the stresses and anxiety that go along with it.